Welcome to another episode of Rambling with SeVIIn. I'm your host, SeVIIn. Duh. Today's topics today's topic is, because I only really have one, coming out. Recently, there was a influencer that came out. She had her first lesbian relationship, Miss Becca Moore. I'm sure that most of you have probably heard of her. And the controversy surrounding her and her significant other's recent breakup. We'll go over that. But first, things that get my knickers and I hide. Family. In particular, my family. And they lack of respect for my authority. Picture this. I look at a calendar randomly at work and I see something that says Lunar New Year. I was like, ooh. Oh, I forgot to give you guys my drink of the day. My bad. Because I'll be drinking it. What is this? Oh, Shirley Temple 7-Up with coconut rum. And for it to have been something that just popped into my head, it is delicious. Okay? Anywho, back to the problem at hand. Family. I look at the calendar, I see Lunar New Year. I like the moon. So I'm like, let's do it. Do a little research, figure out it's basically Chinese New Year. Great. Okay. Bet. So I tell these people, let's celebrate. They're all like, yeah. So then we're making plans because, of course, the New Year was on Wednesday, but we live an hour and a half away from each other, so we're going to have to get together because we all work on the weekend. Great. Got it. So in the chat, I'm like, hey, I will bake a berry chantilly cake. Crickets. Absolutely nothing. No one says anything. So then the weekend comes around. Everybody's like, what are we having? What's for dessert? We didn't have dessert. You know why? Nobody responded to whether or not they wanted the berry chantilly cake. I got to prep for this. I got to go to the store, get the berries, because of course I'm using fresh berries because I'm bougie. And fresh berries are delicious. So I'm like, no chantilly cake for you. Have I ever had a chantilly cake? No. But I read about it in a book, I believe. Or maybe it was Am I the A-hole? It was Am I the A-hole? And the girl was sober. She was like, for my sobriety celebration, I'm going to bring a cake to my family. And then her family decided to toast a little girl's gymnastics at her sobriety party with wine. Because that's not disrespect. You know what? I'm about to get upset. Again, thinking about it. So we're going to digress. Talk about disrespect, right? I mean, come on. But anyway. So we didn't have no dessert. And my brother's like, hey, I always like dessert. I thought it was already known that if dessert was on the table, I'm going to partake. Nope, wasn't understood. How was I supposed to know you wanted it? And my mama was like, I didn't see no text about it. My brother was like, she sent it. Thank you. Because, sometimes they be ganging up on me. And I be like, I'll tear all this down. Oh, the whole house of cards will come down. And then I asked them to make me food, and I feel better. But my wife didn't answer either. But in the group chat, while she's in it, if she has to scroll to get to the top of the thread, she won't read it. And, there's 4 of us in the group chat. So we like, she'll just be like, no thanks. Rude. Now, on to coming out. Of course, I'm going to talk about the situation with Becca, but first, I guess I'll put my business on the street. The first sign that I can remember of liking girls was when I was like 7. And there was a situation with a Jet magazine. I won't get into it. It's weird. And it's weird to talk about because I was 7, but I know that it happened. And it's something that happened. It was weird. But then I started to understand my attraction to girls probably around puberty-ish, around 12-ish. I had my first girlfriend at 13. So, yeah. But, that was a relationship in secret. And quick story time. Because it was so secret and I be slow. Okay? And it is not something that has really improved with age. So, the girl writes we're in like 7th grade. The girl writes a letter breaking up with me. Gives it to one of our friends. The friend loses the letter. It somehow gets around the school. I am most concerned with the fact that people now think that I am gay. It does not dawn on me that my girlfriend is breaking up with me. It was a breakup letter. So I'm like, oh, what should we do? And then, because it was toward the end of the school year, I then decide that I'm going to fight the girl that lost the letter on the last day of school. Why am I fighting her? We did not fight. I did not actually see her after school, but still. Why were we going to fight? Because she lost a letter. And I'm sure that there were other reasons, because I thought that she liked my girlfriend at the time. Turns out she liked me. We ended up dating a little while later, but that's neither here nor there. That's another story for another day. But, yeah. I stayed with the girl until like the summer. Why did I do that? At no point in time until like years later did it click, oh, this girl was breaking up with you. Anyway, so I came out to myself around 13. And I'm sure that my mom had some inkling because the girl was a tomboy. And like, I didn't come out to my mom until I was 18, but still, I'm sure that there were signs. There were signs. We'll get into that later. I came out to my friends at 16. I had a group of it was a group of 4 of us, and I came out to them. My friend, one of my friends was like, can I call you Leslie now? And I was like, no. Because at the time, I was like, I'm bisexual. No, it wasn't. I came out to my mom at 18. And like I said, there were signs from like 13, like the 5 years in between. Because every girlfriend that I had was a stud at this point. And so all these like masculine females around, there were clues. So finally she asked me one day, she was like, you got something? I had a rainbow wristband on because I was 18. YOLO. She was like, you got something you want to tell me? And I was like, you got something you want to know? I've always been a little sassy. It used to be a great source of disconcertion in our relationship. But yeah. So then it wasn't like a big production or anything. She was just like, ew, you eat hairy tacos. And that was it. Like, there wasn't really anything like overtly. I can't be like one of those people that's like, oh my God, my family was the worst. I had a couple of, I came out to my family 18-ish. I can't say that I had like a terrible coming out that anybody was like, oh my God. There were a couple of family members that would say like little things here and there. My grandfather, he is country, old, and just absolutely zero filter. So he'll say something like that I was tutti frutti. And he'd be like, oh, that's my little tutti frutti baby. I don't think he meant any harm by it. But also, why are you like this, sir? So, and objectively, I can say now that I know that I can be a little slow to like social cues and things that people say. I never noticed if somebody was like overtly homophobic to me. There were a few instances where some family members would do and say certain things, but they never really said it to me or to my face or around me. It would always be something that I heard back through the grapevine, and I'd be like, oh, okay, I thought we were friends. Guess not. But anyway, I had, in that 5 years, like, of course there is these great, there are things that you have to understand, because of course I love extremely hard. And when I have calmed down some, okay? And I still love very hard. But when I was younger, before I got jaded and life tossed me on my ass a few times, the level of love that I possessed was borderline obsessive. And I can admit that. As an adult that has done some healing, I can say that I am probably still a bit obsessive about things. My wife, duh, but still. So that brings me to Becca Moore. So there was a lot of controversy because there was a clip. She did a podcast with her ex explaining like that they broke up and why they broke up and everything. And, you know, in subsequent podcasts, she's like, it was probably too soon, but they were already segmented to do a podcast together, to do the show together. But I think that it could have probably waited until emotions calmed down. And it was her first relationship with a female. She's freshly coming out, and she's doing it all on camera, which I'm like, I know how the internet is, and I feel like at some point somebody should have told her how gatekeepy the LGBTQIA plus community can be. Because for one, there's a lot of biphobia, okay? A lot of it, which is crazy to me because people won't date bisexuals, but will actively pursue a straight woman If somebody could make that make sense to me, I would be forever thankful. And also, how is that not like a man coming up to you saying that they could turn you straight? Or that you just ain't had the right, you know? You know. How is that different? I I don't think that there is one. That might be a controversial take. Some people may not like that, and I understand. To each their own, whatever gets your boat ashore, okay? But yeah. So she's actively processing her feelings in front of a camera, which is great in my personal opinion. However, like I stated earlier, the the lesbian community can be gatekeepy. The whole rainbow coalition can be very gatekeepy, and at any point in time, and it's so hard to be a femme presenting lesbian, or I imagine bisexual, because if you're a lesbian, they are cut like a femme present. I've had literal girlfriends that have told me that they saw my future. They saw my future, and I was married to a man with children by said man. And I was like, okay. So I can only imagine the type of hell it is being a bisexual woman in that type of situation, in a lesbian relationship. Because at any point in time, like heaven forbid you actually have men friends. And I will honestly say that some of y'all are the problem. I think that there are people that are in the community that are like, you know, you can get cheated on by anybody, but I feel like the bisexual women that either have boyfriends and are looking for a third, or looking for a girlfriend on the side, or whatever it is that they might be into, are a lot louder than the bisexual women that, you know, are just looking for their forever partner in whichever form they may come into play. So, yeah. But we see Becca, and she made a comment. Something about she realized that she and Shannon will never have a like if they ever have children, it won't be biologically both of theirs. And when I tell you that the community tore her to shreds. And initially, I too was a little angry about it. I won't lie, I did not decide to pick up a phone and tell the entire internet about it, but I had to remember, back when I was like 16, I thought about it. The girl at the time that I was talking to, I was like, man, because, you know, for whatever reason, when you're a teenager, you be talking about having kids and getting married and all this other stuff. Like, you are 16. Please have several seats. But, you know, of course, I knew everything at that point. So, I thought I had the realization that I would not be able to have a baby by my significant other. That we would never be able to have a baby that was half ours. And so without knowing what reciprocal IVF is, I was like, okay, well, you can carry my eggs, you can have a baby with my egg, and I can have a baby, I can carry yours. Now there's a name for that. I don't know if there was then, 20 years ago. Damn, that was 20 years ago? Legit. Okay. All right. Didn't expect that, but I think that we all probably have similar conversations and realizations with ourselves, especially those of us that knew like pretty early on that we were attracted to the same gender. I think that we should allow her some grace to figure out all of the things. She's like treading uncharted territory with, honestly, at this point, is Shannon the lesbian Jesus? I am starting to wonder, but we can at least call her the Les father, right? Okay, well, whatever. She's coming to grips with all of it. And I feel like we should be able, that we as a community should give her grace and guidance, because I've watched some of her following podcast, and she is really, really trying to explain that she still likes women. And I think that the community may be sending her into an identity crisis because she's trying to convince everyone that she's still into women, and there is nothing wrong with trying to figure it out. And I think that it is so important that somebody document, the coming out process and all of the things that go into it. And I think that she's very brave for doing it. I do think that she has to be ready for a certain amount of backlash. And by a certain amount, I mean a lot of it, because of course we're all human, so we're not always going to get it right. And she's learning, she's coping, she's coming to grips with it. Like, who knows? Like 2 years ago, she still thought she was a straight woman. So she's still coming to terms with it. And I think that we should allow her some grace. I think that we should allow a lot more grace. I'm not saying like, let people take advantage of us or anything like that, but I do feel like in this state and in this world that we are living in, we have so many more important things to discuss and to talk about than to worry about whether or not somebody is really bisexual. Because essentially, even if she never dates another woman in her life, but she still identifies as bisexual, that is valid. All of it's valid. Even if she never dated another man and still identifies as bisexual, that is valid too. You can't tell somebody how they feel or what they're attracted to. Okay? Let's all just breathe. Let's all just give love and light and give everybody a chance. So this episode is probably not going to be as long as the last episode, because apparently I had a lot to say in that episode. Once it was all said and done, it was over an hour, and I was like, so I'm going to give you guys a break this week. But oh, that might be the yelling my brother was talking about. I am gonna go over my, and it's supposed to be real quick that I'm going over my reads. I am gonna give my brief synopsis of all of them. And I hope it doesn't take a long time. I'm trying to keep this episode at probably like the 30-minute mark-ish. Just because last week's was really long. And I feel bad. Because like 30 minutes into it and I had still not talked about what I needed to talk about. So we trying to fix that this week. Anywho, thank you so much for watching. Remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe. If you ever need me, of course, I'm always here. All of my handles will be below. Thank you. Smooches!